This is a Hat Trick
podcast.
Oh, lovely.
Hello and welcome to In the News This Week, the podcast from some of the team behind Have I Got News For You, where we take you through our picks of the news this week when the TV show can't.
We'll be looking at both the serious and not so serious news items and trying to convince each other of which story we think would have been perfect for the show if it was on air.
Which it isn't. But let's introduce ourselves anyway. I'm Emerald Paston. I write on Have I Got News For You.
I'm Jack Harris, a sometimes producer of the show.
I'm Mike Rayment, sometimes series producer of the show.
And I'm Queenie Miller, the picture researcher for the show, which is obviously essential for a podcast.
Absolutely key.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you all.
Hi.
Good to be back.
Incredibly, we're still all here, unlike Joe Biden. We all know the drill now, so let's jump straight into round one.
Yep.
The big talking points this week. Joe Biden has withdrawn his candidacy.
Stepped down, yeah.
He's gone, and he's endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. So how do we feel about that?
I think it's funny that he didn't do it straight away. He didn't do it in the resignation letter. He posted that to Twitter and then waited about 24 hours. And everyone was like, oh.
I think there's a thing of like, if he quit and then instantly endorsed Kamala Harris, he would just be completely forgotten about. I think that's what he's really worried about, right?
He needed his moment.
He's forgetting about himself. I don't think he has to worry.
At the end of his resignation statement, he said, "We just have to remember we are the United States of America." I think that was just a reminder to him.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to read that bit.
That was something that Abe just jotted down at the bottom of the paper.
Apparently it took a lot of convincing to resign. And he took a lot of convincing to endorse Kamala because there's a bit of financial shenanigans going on.
Right.
So they've got $91 million donated to Biden-Harris. So if anyone else was to run, they wouldn't be able to use that 91 million.
Oh, right, because it's under their ticket, so they've got to use that.
I also think it might be a cost-cutting measure. There was a picture of a sign, and I guess it was originally a Biden-Harris sign, and someone had just cut out the Biden. So now with leaflets, they can just cut out the
thrifty.
Biden.
I like that.
Trump's team have like already filed a complaint to say they can't use that money.
Yeah.
Like, they've already tried to get in.
And he's got a great track record with court cases. So the Republicans for the last 2 months, since that debate, they've said, he's got to go. He's got to go. He can't stand. He can't stand. And he went, I'm not going to stand. And they've gone, you can't do that.
It's so good. Eric Trump went straight on Fox News and said, this is subverting the will of the people. And you're like, what?
There was a Telegraph headline I saw, and it was like just so out of pocket. Kamala Harris, the giggling fool will doom America.
I love also Mail Online instantly said, does Kamala Harris have some kind of mental disorder? Because she keeps on getting her words jumbled. And you're like, have you watched the Donald Trump rallies? Like, I haven't said anything about that.
I don't know why everyone in the UK is so upset about Kamala Harris coming in. There's a headline in Politico, the time Kamala Harris upset the Brits, which is really like baity.
Yeah.
When Rishi Sunak was in power, she came to Britain and gave a speech a day earlier than she should and slightly upstaged him. And they're like,
That's not difficult.
That's what I mean. He got upstaged by rain. Like, do you know how hard it is to get upstaged by rain in Britain? I don't know why people are so worried about her.
It's a way
She's
to get.
a woman.
Yeah. She's a woman.
terrifying.
Probably.
Do you
That's
think
probably,
she'll get elected, Queenie?
Me?
Sorry, I'm putting.
Yeah,
but
no.
like,
I
yeah.
speak for the electorate.
No, but do you think that's going to count against her?
I think they're going to use it against her. I don't know whether it'll count.
You say that, but one of the Republican chairman, Richard Hudson, has been urging his colleagues to steer clear of racist and sexist attacks on Harris. But he's not saying, oh, it's bad. He's just saying, guys, shh, don't do it.
So funny.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can think it, just don't say it. Does anyone have any guesses on who Kamala's running mate will be?
They're all quite boring white blokes, aren't they?
Yeah, like Pete Buttigieg. And...
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I've met him.
No way.
Buttigieg.
What?
I said that like you met someone cool.
Yeah.
I met him at my American pen pal's wedding.
Wow.
Basically,
Yeah.
when I was 12, we had this
You were a
opportunity
nerd.
to sign up to a pen pal scheme. I actually got this lovely American pen pal who lives in
Yeah.
Michigan, and we stayed in touch since then, wrote
you
loads of
invited to the
letters.
wedding?
And then, 2016, she invited me to the wedding. I'd never been to
awesome.
America at that
Crazy.
point, and I was like, okay, the first time I go to America has to be for my pen pal's wedding. And she happened to go to school with his husband.
Based on his behaviour at the wedding, would you say he'd be a good vice president?
See, I only remember embarrassing myself because I was like, oh my God, you're a mayor. Oh, is it like Parks and Recreation? Are you basically Leslie Knope?
But
And I
that's
got very
probably
excited.
true, no?
Yeah.
You're just a shit Leslie. That's like good. But it is a bit depressing. There's quite a few articles, one in the Times and one in the Financial Times, and they were just saying, oh, she's got to pick a straight white guy.
Right.
Like, as if it were like, just like in
People
a total...
are like, she's going to pick Michelle Obama.
But that would be awesome.
It would be
so
awesome.
cool.
To
Yeah.
quote Veep, actually, An all-female ticket? I don't think so. She said something like, the American people work hard for a living. They don't need that kind of bullshit.
It's mainly because all the boring white dudes in
The swing
states.
states.
All the swing states are boring white blokes,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what they have to do for a swing state. Because otherwise, what's the point if you can't get a swing state to be on your side? Who was the first person to predict that Kamala Harris was going to be president?
Charlie XCX.
We'll get to Charlie XCX. On the Jeremy Vine show last week, there was an asparagus fortune teller.
Oh, wow.
The technical name being asparamancer. The way it works is she just throws down spears of asparagus
This
and
rings
then
a bell.
can read the future from that.
What I'm
Yeah.
hearing is that Jeremy Vine's nicked her from This Morning because she's a resident on This Morning.
Every 4 years she turns up on This Morning. She loves it. And Jeremy Vine got her on because it was the King's speech and said, what I want you to do is, how are we going to be doing in 5 years? Let us know. And she threw down the asparagus and said, Keir Starmer's going to be challenged in the leadership in the next year. And Jeremy Vine sort of pointed out, he's won the biggest mandate, or one of the biggest mandates in history. And she said,
Wow.
look, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what the asparagus is going to say. But he said, okay, who's going to be president of America? Threw it down. And she said, it's showing me it's going to be a woman. Neither Trump or Biden. And this is before Biden stood down. I mean, she could have read a little bit on an American politics blog to kind of find out. But
She's the
Yeah.
experiment, so she's too busy.
Well, she could have just used sort of scientific reason to go, one's 81 and the other one lives on lives on a diet of McDonald's cheeseburgers.
she was on the front of the Daily Star as well this week because they wanted more details. And this is where she kind of tripped herself up because they were like, oh, okay, woman, who's it going to be? And she said, woman beginning with M. I think it's going to be Michelle Obama. And you think, just stick with.
Oh, you
stick
should have
with.
you didn't have
Should
to
have been
say that.
Melania.
Yeah, she screwed herself.
Never
up.
go into that much detail.
Surely they asked her why she uses asparagus.
It must just be based on the name, right?
Easy.
Asparamancer.
Yeah.
A cool name.
She did also predict that the election would happen in December of this year. So she's not always 100%.
It's already starting to fall apart for Keir. The rebellion
Oh,
begins.
yeah. Suspending people left, right and centre. But mostly left.
Mostly left.
see, that's the mad thing because she missed that, the Asparamancer.
The SNP were just playing silly buggers because Keir Starmer said he's going to look into it, hasn't he?
Yeah, but when has he ever broken a promise?
I have a question about suspensions for the
Oh,
MPs.
yeah.
When they don't have the whip anymore, can they just go wild and vote for whatever they want? Is it like,
They're
when Amish
suspended,
people
so-
get that
Suppose
like
so, yeah.
time
Yeah.
off?
They go mufti.
Go on Rumspringer.
Yeah. Yeah, with having the whip removed, they do tend to still vote with the party. The interesting thing is, with being suspended, you actually lose all access to the party infrastructure. So you lose like secretaries and assistants. They don't tell you when you got to go vote this, you got to do that.
I guess the question we might ask Ian is Kamala Harris brat?
It's a good question for him.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's a big Charlie XCX fan.
She got a lot of flack from her followers for calling Kamala brat for two reasons. One more important than the other. One was that technically she isn't brat because brat is this specific aesthetic and Kamala doesn't wear tank tops or whatever it was.
Or smoke.
The other is because of the support of Israel during the conflict that's going on.
Okay.
So there are two sides.
Sorry, what is Brat?
Oh no.
What is going on?
Brat is the new album by Charlie XCX, the singer.
Is this how you guys feel when I talk about Warhammer?
Okay, so Charlie XCX said Brat is that girl who is a little messy and likes to party and maybe says dumb things sometimes,
So-
who feels herself,
Like Charlie
but then
XCX.
maybe also has a breakdown. Like you,
Yeah.
Mike.
She released an album.
Yeah, she released
That's
this album
green.
called Brat, and basically it's Brat Summer, Mike. I saw you smoking those thin cigarettes outside.
Oh my god.
You're the kind
Terrible.
of party girl we're talking about.
This is definitely what we wouldn't be discussing on the show.
I feel really embarrassed because I only learned who Charlie XCX was about 2 weeks ago.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And you're
I-
Gen Z.
Yeah, I'm like a traitor.
This is maybe what we might talk about on the show, is because it's kind of like, where does the support come from? And it's
Yeah.
like Gen Z have jumped on this whole Kamala Harris like
But have
train.
they actually?
But this is the thing. You've got support from the group of people who just never vote.
Yeah.
So that's
the
the
only
one.
thing Gen Z jump on is their own TikTok feeds. Like,
to
they're-
make
that's what-
edits
to
of
make
Kamala
Kamala
Harris.
Harris videos
Yeah,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
and then not vote for her.
Yeah.
You
You're
sound
like-
really old right now.
Do you know what? After listening, genuinely, after the last 10 minutes, I feel like I've aged about 2 decades.
Honestly, they had to explain what Brat was on Woman's Hour today. They got Zing Saying on, who would be perfect for an episode to explain
Oh,
to
yeah, she
Ian
would.
whether he's Brat or not. That's what we're all about now.
Cool. Sticking with leadership,
Yeah.
the big story of the week we haven't covered.
What's that?
James Cleverly throwing his hat in the ring to be Conservative leader.
Yeah.
Potentially, historically, the first Conservative leader to play Warhammer.
I think it's time for an ad break.
Yeah. Welcome back to In the News This Week. It's round 2 now, which often follows round 1, where each of us brings the story from the past week that we believe would be an ideal candidate for round 2 of Have I Got News For You. And in keeping with this week's theme of contested leaderships, the person whose story is voted the best will be in the host chair next week, assuming... I don't know, we should have asked the Asparagus that.
Yeah.
Because the stakes are so high.
So I'm going to throw my invisible asparagus of news. Jack, what's your story this week?
It's a royal story. Always a big fan of a royal story and haven't got news for you. But the annual accounts for the royal household have come out this week. There's a couple of things that came out of it, but the thing I quite liked that sort of stuck out first is the Palace PR team have obviously been quite quick to get to it, because the first thing they put out was kind of to say, hey, look, I know they're getting a lot of money.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of environmentally friendly stuff. And one of the things they said, look, Charles's 2 Bentleys, they're going to be running on biofuel. So, pretty good. And at the end, they're kind of, oh, by the way, we're getting 2 new helicopters. But forget about that. And the reason we're getting them is because the helicopters we've got now, they're 15 years old.
Can't be having that.
They're going to get close to
the king.
getting
That's
charged ULEZ if they're not careful.
And he'll be embarrassed in front of all his royal mates when he goes round.
Imagine that King of Spain turns up in a brand new helicopter. Yeah. Charles is sort of chugging in.
Yeah, they put a thing in at the end as well, I saw, and then really, really buried it down and said, and it was really measly, and he said, but the helicopters maybe one day might also run on biofuel, possibly. Fingers crossed behind back. Yeah.
When the royals use the word biofuel, though, the only thing I can imagine is that they have humans just pushing their cars.
Biological fuel, yeah. Take it back to how it used to be.
It's quite funny as well, because a BBC News article this morning led with the fact that it was Bentley's going to be running on biofuel. I don't know what's happened, but someone then came in and said, you can't say that because they're getting 2 new helicopters. You can't leave with that.
This is quite a hilarious week for this to happen, because there have been 4 historic sentences for Just Stop Oil activists that have been the longest, ever for protesting.
I'm surprised about Just Stop Oil, because I really didn't think those charges would stick.
Oh,
yes, yes, glue, baby, glue. Nice.
Did you see the?
I saw Mike's face just suddenly go. Oh.
I want that clipped
My
up.
stomach dropped a little.
You had Buckingham Palace East Wing refurbishment.
Thank God. Thank God it's being refurbished.
It's so important, right? But it's gone over by 78%. And you kind of think, well, how does it cost so much? And you read the detail, right? They removed the original wallpaper, they cleaned it, and then they put it back. And you think, just go to John Lewis, man. Just guess.
Yeah. Even Carrie and Boris didn't spend that much on it.
Someone from the Times went on the tour of the East Wing, and you think, it's going to be quite opulent, quite fancy. Their review read that the new East Wing feels like a conference centre that has seen better days. And
was this on TripAdvisor?
Yeah.
It's 1 star.
And it's less Versailles, more Bournemouth Hotel.
Controversial opinion. I think that's a good thing.
A Bournemouth Hotel?
No, we want it to be less Versailles, maybe. I think that didn't end well for Versailles.
Also, they had a 2-day trip in the Royal Train to Pickering and Scarborough. How much do you reckon that cost?
$4 billion.
I mean, it actually cost £52,013.
They got a saver.
Senior
they got
card.
the 2-for-1.
They got the weekend saver.
I think when King Charles goes to get his passport photo, do you think he just automatically starts to turn his head because he's so used to
being on the money?
Stamp profile style? That's my story.
Yeah. Time for the asparagus. Where's it going? Queenie.
That was magical.
Real acting skills there.
I'm going to do a mini Tory roundup this week. I like to check in on them, see how they're doing. So the first one is that 1 in 6 Tory voters could be dead by the next general election.
Get the Asparamancer in to tell us who.
Yeah.
That's obviously because of people aging out of life and then...
Aging out of life?
Yeah.
That's
a very
nice way
polite
to
way to
start
put
death,
it.
isn't it? That is the most, the cleanest way to say you're going to die.
You're going to die because
So
you're old.
you've got about 3 weeks to age out of life.
Age out of life. I just think you should only ever be able to say died.
Like, your bedside manner is phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
ever
it's
be a
either
doctor.
acting or being a doctor. One of the two.
The next little story is that MPs have been told to smarten up by Commons leader Lindsay Hoyle as he seeks to roll back the relaxation of clothing by John Bercow, his predecessor.
Right.
I think it's just because he doesn't like him. But also, people must now wear a tie, and the list of things that can't be worn are chinos, T-shirts, sportswear, and trainers. There's a Samba joke. I don't really care about saying it.
You know what? This is where I sort of start to go into my teacher mode, like school uniform. I quite like the fact they have to look a bit smart. And I know that's really square. I sound like my mum.
No. I feel like
the most
Is
mum
that
thing I've
proper
ever said.
David Cameron, like saying to Jeremy Corbyn, put a tie on and sing the national anthem.
I saw this story and I saw the quote that he said. He apparently said, "I say to the honourable gentleman, wear a tie or you might not catch my eye," which sounds more like "take me out."
What
he
music,
is Paddy McGuinness.
what music would he come down to in the tunnel, in the love shaft? It's called the love shaft, doesn't it?
The love shaft.
Oh, no. There's a reason I got
What
taken
would
off
he
there.
come down to?
What, Lindsay Hoyle?
Yeah, sex bomb. That would be great. You can imagine Lindsay Hoyle coming out to sex bomb. He's a big animal guy.
Yeah.
That would be his talent
The
video.
Lion
wouldn't it?
Sleeps Tonight.
His talent video would be like, "Look at all my animals," and you'd see so many buzzers go out.
I'm amazed he's been voted back in. He's quite insufferable.
Can we do Politicians Take Me Out? Because Theresa May would come down in her...
In ABBA.
In ABBA. Everyone's got a song. This is actually a
Queen.
really good idea.
Yeah.
I guess Boris is ABBA too, right? It was ABBA music playing all night at one of his parties.
Yeah.
Rishi Sunak, California Dreaming.
Yeah, nice.
I think a reason to bring this story up specifically for Have I Got News is there's a really good clip of Nadine Zahawi in 2011 doing a speech, and he gets interrupted by his own musical tie.
That's
Well, he's talking
embarrassing.
about like bowel cancer, and then it plays this like wiry, horrible tune, and he's like, "Oh, sorry," and gets told off by the speaker. I didn't know what it was, and then I listened to it again, and it kind of sounds like "Sexy Boy" by Air.
Nice. Okay.
So that would be his song.
That'd be his Take Me Out song,
Yeah,
I went to a party on the weekend.
for the first time.
Yeah. Someone I work with, they did political team and they went into politics.
Yeah.
And they worked in government.
It's James Cleverly.
I wish it was James Cleverly. Any place, any time.
He didn't pick it up last time.
And,
He's not going to this time. You're getting
no, he
desperate.
hasn't at all. But I went to this party and it had a hip hop theme. There was a Conservative MP present at the party.
Which one?
It was Sajid Javid in a gold chain and a do-rag.
Did you take a picture?
No, there's no pictures. It was like-
I understand why there was no picture.
yeah.
That's
But
really
it
embarrassing.
was. He looked amazing.
Come on.
How tall is he?
He's tiny. He's very svelte.
No, nice.
And I thought if you wore that in Parliament, I'd probably.
Kiss you? Oh, vote for you. Sorry, yeah.
Maybe this is why Lindsay Hoyle brought in the rule, because he went to that guy.
Party and he
Yeah.
just turned
Yeah.
around.
This is a great area for the show.
Yeah.
And the asparagus. I mean, where's it going to go now? It's coming towards me. No, oh, it's Emerald.
Oh, so my story this week, I've decided to go with another old house story, despite Jack trying to muscle in with his Buckingham Palace information.
Hey, you've all
love-
gone for old house stories.
Old
Oh, yeah, House of Parliament.
We didn't pick up on the fact that you made a category of old house last week.
I
but
think this is
actually
going to be
loved
my
it.
last one because
Oh, no, keep
can't
going.
keep
I like
This is
it.
England. There
I
are
don't
so many.
believe it. Yeah.
So this is the story about a nuclear bunker in Cumbria that has gone to auction. It's a 1958 nuclear bunker that's come onto the market. It's a property with no windows, no running water, no mod cons.
Genuinely my dream home.
Well, the idea was that 3 volunteers would live down there for a fortnight in this very basic space in order to broadcast messages for the public. So a very similar setup to GB News. Or in
I thought you were
fact,
going to say
us.
us.
Pretty much us as well. Yeah.
They should put stuff like this on location. I just like to see who tours them.
Well, don't worry about it because you've got a lot of quotes from the people touring them. One guy that this article spoke to, he has a very apt name. He's called Barney Strange.
Brilliant.
His reason for being a prospective buyer is, I'm on the edge of a midlife crisis.
Wow.
He's there with his wife. I think it's all good. But he said the idea of Mrs. Strange, Mr. and Mrs. Strange. He said the idea of owning a nuclear bunker is surely every 14-year-old boy's dream, isn't it?
yes.
I think that's just.
It
and
would be
my
my
age,
dream.
me.
I hate the dark, as kids say.
It's just having anywhere that your mum and dad on is a
And that it's
14-year-old boy's
protected
dream.
from nuclear fallout. That's the crucial bit.
And they asked him, does the thought of sleeping underground in this small windowless room fill you with dread? And he said, no, not at all. It fills me with a sense of security. So
He's going to really like being in a coffin.
right. He's the fast one. No, he doesn't.
Wow,
It was-
he needs
It's so deep, isn't it? 12 metres
We're
down.
going to need
wasn't
it.
Yeah.
He's going to have to rent it out.
Well, speaking to him, so they said this bunker would have a practical purpose if the bombs go off. But Mr. Strange said, I would rather die along with everyone else, I think.
this man sounds like he's got his priorities in order,
Also-
and he's just doing it for the whimsy.
Can I say it's definitely not his wife? That he's made that up. He's got someone to come along and
It's
say,
his
"Look,
twin
it's
sister."
weird if I go on my own. So can you just pretend to be my wife?"
Right.
Because-
Just tell the papers I'm married. Yeah.
And then they spoke to the auctioneer, who had a great quote about the seller who's owned the bunker since 2008. And the
The cellar
auctioneer,
and the bunker.
Yeah, very- The auctioneer said he's kind of felt he's had his fun with it. It's time for somebody else to have fun as well.
What has he done in that
what
round?
has he
know,
done?
right?
Yeah, this
How many
is-
people has he
I think
held
that somebody else
captive?
should be a police inspector, maybe.
Yeah. Get the old UV light down there.
Yeah.
When I saw that article as well, there was a picture of someone coming up out of the sort of door, but behind them you could see a guy in a suit who's clearly an estate agent, and you think even bunkers have wankers showing you around,
Yeah.
telling you
With,
how
like, the
big it
pointy
is.
shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, honestly, I know you haven't got any natural light, but this is just
fact,
Yeah.
it's such
this
a
will make
nice
a
reading
fantastic
nook.
office. Yeah. you
Okay,
know.
well, we don't need the magic asparagus
I
to
think
say
we
what.
still need it. Right? Should I do it?
Go on, do you want to hang on? Let me.
Thanks,
Pass
Ben.
over.
They're
Right.
miming passing over asparagus right now.
It's Mike. It's you. What's
Whoa.
your story?
Wow.
Guys, my story, I don't know if any of you heard of this. There's this little thing called the Olympics taking place this week.
Oh, right.
And
What's
it is a lot of fun. And they're taking place.
I love the idea of being introduced to the Olympics.
Well, yeah,
Bit of
It's
fun.
really fun.
yeah, there's loads of sports, there's some rings, some doping.
Yeah.
It's great. Now, the Olympics taking place in Paris, and they're going to have the opening ceremony on Le Seine. And is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Le Seine.
I like that you
Yeah.
added the French the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt weird. Having the opening ceremony then, and there was a lot of confusion. They said, "Oh, it's not going to be ready; it's too polluted."
Yeah.
And then the mayor of Paris had to go and do a swim.
But did you see about her? Though? She's supposed to have done it
yeah.
2 times before, but she's cancelled twice.
Because
Yeah.
of the quality of the water.
Partly because of the quality of the water, but also because there was a thing going around where when they found out the date of when she was going to swim, there was a thing
Oh, no.
on social media
Yeah.
saying to Parisians,
Yeah.
we should all take a poo in the Seine.
It's great.
So just the day before she goes for
Yeah.
a
I
swim.
love how vindictive French people are.
That was my favourite.
So
That was
good.
my favourite. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, absolutely incredible.
So how did she eventually do it this third time then? Because did
it
she kind of like
covert?
keep it secret and then
She kept it secret, but I think the key was so Macron said he'd do it as well, and that's when the dirty protesters' ears really pricked up.
That's the trigger.
And it's like, right, we've got a real opportunity here. And then miraculously, Macron was found himself too busy, so she eventually did it. But it's just such a I don't know if you've seen the photos or video. She doesn't look comfortable, and she had a real keeping her neck above the water, don't get it in your mouth. Sort of style to the swimming.
That's great.
The other thing that really is making me, it's like London really teched into doing London things. You know, it's like we got Mr. Bean out, we dropped the Queen out of a helicopter,
Tim Berners-Lee
a
got
15-year-old
unveiled
helicopter.
by
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Paris, they haven't done that. It's like they've been talking, they're saying, oh, they've been teaching the French police how to speak English and how to be friendly. Not
How to
very
be friendly.
Yeah.
Did you see that they were like, we're not expecting them to shine. They just have to give basic instructions.
Yeah.
Maybe, we're going to give you tear gas right
Yeah.
now, and you need to run as fast as possible.
But sarcastically.
Being the
Yeah. You've got one question before you get tear gassed in the face.
Yeah. Did you see that Rishi Sunak tried to get involved today at PMQ?
Swimming in the Seine?
Oh, I think that would have
We
been
wish.
him saying he's going to go. But now, so this is partly feeding into that. I think if he swam in the Seine,
You'd have to go in the shallow end.
or if he swam in the Thames, I don't think anyone would do anything bad, because he said today, he was like, I want to wish Team GB, all the luck. But he said, to be honest, I'm probably not the first person they want to hear advice from on how to win. Right?
Everyone
Got
had a good old chuckle
and then
about
everyone
that.
went, oh, and you
Oh,
think,
no.
oh, it's the worst
Yeah.
reaction to get for everyone to give him the arm.
no.
And I think if he went in the Thames, people would just sort of be on the side, well done, Rishi, that's great, good job.
I've got a little game
Yeah, nice.
Yes, please.
because I've been inspired by Emerald, which we would maybe do on the show. Current Olympic sport, used to be an Olympic sport, never been an Olympic sport,
Great.
Okay.
because they're constantly changing the guidelines. So first one, breakdancing.
It's now a sport. It's now a
It's
sport.
now an Olympic sport.
Excellent.
It's the first time.
And there's been I think some people have complained about it, right? Because it's judged on style, but then people have also been saying, but so is the gymnastics. So
Yeah.
It's been allowed in.
But it's not a sport, though, is it?
Tell that to Sajid Javid. Second one, jeu de paume. I think my pronunciation. I
Is
really
that something about apples?
jeu de paume.
I think that's
Playing
isn't that some
apples?
kind of, is
Are
that
you saying
fencing?
pong?
Is that a fencing
No,
thing?
it's like paume. I think it's paume.
I literally cannot understand what you're
Please email in and correct me. Paume.
Can you say it in English and then we'll know?
Can you say the whole sentence in French, maybe?
Jeu de, jeu
give
de
it
paume.
context. Say, put it in a sentence, Mike.
Oh, did you
could've
see that
watched
game of jeu de paume last night?
Je in what
Oh, did you
way?
see? I
Je means game.
Did you see the big
Yeah,
Jeu de
like
Plum
je-
game?
can't believe we got bronze in jeu de paume.
Pom is one thing.
Paume. Pom.
None of us speak
Is
French,
it
so-
fencing? Is it a fencing style thing, like a sabre
No.
fighting?
Well, my guess is that it's a past thing because I don't think it's happening now, is
No,
it?
it's a former. It is. You're correct.
yeah.
It's a former. It's basically it literally means I think like game of the hand. So it's like a precursor to tennis before they had rackets.
Like handball.
Five.
I think they used to call it. It's like real tennis. They used to call it out.
Wow.
They used to play it in
Can
France.
I just point out, I've brought up fives there as I'd never played it as a kid. I got introduced to it when I was at university, all these mad bastards playing this mental game.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people.
You'll never beat
again,
the
another
fives
reference that's
allegations.
just going brats, fives. I don't know who
Charlie
any of you are
XCX
anymore.
is big into fives.
Is it? Yeah, I can
Fives is
imagine.
brat somewhere.
And then your last one,
Okay.
motorboating.
Oh God, really?
Wasn't that something that Donald Trump got? That was a sport that he got convicted of.
That was good.
It's a previous one. They have done it before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just driving speedboats?
Yeah, basically.
It's
yeah.
absolute quality.
We're not talking about what the other meaning of motorboating is.
Not the Trumpian.
Okay,
No. But I did put it in
That
there.
really concerned
I put
me.
it in there on purpose.
Bit
It's just a
fun.
bit of fun.
Yeah, bit of fun.
Just see if anyone bet. But the real hero of the Olympics, though, is actually it's Snoop Dogg.
Oh, that's
yeah.
so exciting.
It's so good. He's carrying the Olympic torch. He's getting everywhere. He's carrying the Olympic torch.
He's going to light a joint from it.
Yeah, they are worried he's going to smoke it. And
If
then
he doesn't hold it up like it's
He
a
has
joint,
to.
then what's the point?
He
in life?
of course he will.
the point in
Of
Snoop
course he
Dogg?
will. He's also doing commentary for NBC on some of the events.
Is he?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he isn't.
He did,
No, he is.
he did an interview in the UK this week where he referred to the Queen as my girl.
Aw.
That's nice.
Lovely.
It's cute.
There was a thing. She and he got banned from coming to the UK. And she
Unbanned him.
she intervened.
Really?
Oh.
So I guess we'll know by next week what Snoop's done with the torch.
Sounds quite ominous, doesn't
It
it?
does, yeah.
I hope he throws it to the ground like asparaguses and predicts.
We need a winner.
Yeah.
What's your favourite round 2 story, Jack?
I really like Olympics. I think we'd cover that. That'd be good.
I agree with you, Jack. I feel like the Olympic story spoke to me, mainly because of the poo in the Seine.
I would go with the bunker because I just had so much fun hearing about that.
I actually enjoyed your Tory roundup, especially for the clothing discussion. That was my go-to.
So we're all winners.
Apart from you, Jack.
No one picked your
fine.
story.
No, we've
But
got to
I
pick
think
one.
two of us went for Olympics, didn't we? So, Mike.
My reign of terror continues.
Yeah.
At least 2 of you will be suspended for next week. Okay, that's enough of that. Thank you for listening to In the News this week.
For updates on the show, make sure you're following Have I Got News For You on Instagram, TikTok and X, formerly known as Twitter.
You can also get in touch with us here using the hashtag HignifiPod or emailing podcasts@hattrick.com. That's hattrick with 2 T's.
Make sure you follow or subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to it now, and we'll see you here for next week's episode.
Bye.
Bye! Is this a thing now?
Jesus.
Bye.
As if you're saying Jesus to that, like you're Warhammer stuff.
In the News This Week is presented by Jack Harris, Queenie Miller, Emerald Paston and Mike Rayment. The producer is Diggory Waite. The engineer is John Wakefield. The executive producer is Claire Broughton. And the music is by Big George. In the News This Week is a Hat-Trick podcast.
People often ask me what my regular London pub is, but that assumes there's a pub I can easily return to, so please stop asking that.
London Pub Reviews, written by Paul Ewan and featuring Tim Key. A Hat-Trick podcast.
Did you save my seat? Why? I'm at a completely different pub now, with different seats. Catch up.
Available now, wherever you get your podcasts.